official. The internet hates me.
Okay, so the season 2 premiere is called I Guess Everyone Just Hates Me Now, which is such a funny premise. It's essentially I canceled. And there's a lot of funny tropes in this episode I can't wait to unravel. It starts off with Spencer going into his art side and creating this giant platter of everybody's favorite foods, which sounds disgusting. It ultimately doesn't lead to anything, but the plot gets kicked off when Carly realizes her 2 ex-boyfriends started their own web series, which I guess in this world, it's more like a social media account, a podcast, I don't know. They do a good job at parroting what kind of jobs we have now. Like Freddie brings in this girl to be like a dog whisperer to keep Harper and her little dog not fighting. Okay. This girl doesn't seem important, but she will come up later, trust me.
Well, you're my favorite certified animal therapist. You're the only one I know, but still, congrats.
So Carly invites her exes to iCarly to essentially apologize to them live on camera, which, oh my gosh, there's never been something more inauthentic than this. Like, I get it. We do go through that, and I feel like people would put an apology online.
They're here to have a good, long chat about their feelings. Because when boys have feelings, everybody needs to know.
But the way they do it is just not subtle at all. But hey, was iCarly ever subtle at all? Getting excited in the apology of it all, Carly ends up telling them she already has a boyfriend. Oh my gosh.
I'm in a hot relationship.
They're bothering her because they say she's the ice queen, she has no feelings just because she couldn't date them.
Ice Queen.
Which is a really good commentary on true relationships in this day and age. I feel like people are quick to blame another person for not being compatible when really 2 people just cannot work out. Like, it's normal. Freddie jumps in to save the day when Carly is not knowing what to say and says that he's her boyfriend. Oh my gosh. Then the entire world goes crazy because apparently everybody has always wanted this.
The Creddies are just like iCarly super fans who want me and Freddie to get together. You know, Carly plus Freddie. Already.
You can see I'm a Freddie shipper.
And it's really funny watching people fangirl over Freddie. Even Freddie's mom does it, but honestly, her take on this is really confusing to me. I feel like she's just being weird about it, and the thing she says, like singing to Freddie when he sleeps, like that's just nuts to me. There's an actual genuine moment between Carly and Freddie when they're getting ready to go to this whole event. She actually asks him if they're having feelings for each other, and he's like, no, definitely not. I hate that they call themselves like somewhat exes. Like, it's like, no, you had a crush on each other when you were kids. Like, it really wasn't that committal. I don't think we have to take it that seriously. So Spencer is in charge of throwing this party for Freddie's like CEO debut.
This party needs to be the opposite of lit, so let's get dim.
And it ends up being like a lot more of a funeral, which is definitely a funny bit.
Who died?
Even the animal therapist shows up, which, by the way, she's coming in soon, get ready. And yeah, so this whole thing looks like a disaster.
What sad event does this remind you of?
Yep, we threw a funeral.
But Spencer is like determined to make it not weird, so he runs around trying to make people have a good time, which is actually super funny. This is a good bit. Carly is still convincing everybody her and Freddie are together, but then things get complicated when Freddie starts to connect with the animal therapist, and they've been flirty a lot, so this isn't super uncalled for. The only issue is there's a lot of influencers there that are ready to see Freddie cheat. And next thing you know, nobody's defending Carly. Like, oh my gosh, of course a guy cheats and then Carly's the one that's taking the rap for it. Even Mrs. Benson like doesn't feel bad for Carly. Like, why? Carly and Freddie end up addressing this to the whole internet, and that's kind of how the episode resolves itself. This is so crazy to think that our culture really does this. Like, we do genuinely give all of our life updates now firsthand and personally to the camera. Like, what a crazy time. It's definitely a strong opening to a new season, though. I feel like everything I was worried about of the last season is just completely abandoned this time. And if we get more of Miss Benson in this way, I am definitely down for this new season. But there's a lot more surprises to come, so let's stick around. Episode 2 is iObject Lewbert, and this is one of the episodes where you'd like be scrolling by, and because you see the name Lewbert, you would click on it, or at least that's what I did. I was like, okay, cool, a nostalgia episode. Starting to realize this pattern with the second season. I mean, there's only 10 episodes, but there's a lot of guest stars. I feel like at least one guest star per episode, whether it's a throwback character or or a new one altogether. This one was almost as fun as I thought it would be. Carly gets served in the first 3 minutes of the episode, and it's kind of insane. This woman pretends she's a fan, but inevitably just hands her papers, which I don't know how misleading that is. Then she learns pretty quickly that she is being sued, and it is none other than Lewbert, the old doorman that used to work at the Bushwell where they still live.
No, my mom made this costume.
Well, she's sick! You got a sick mama!
It's funny because they have a moment where Freddie and Carly are explaining to Harper what they did on the web show. For one, it kind of reveals that Harper never really watched the original web show, which makes a lot of sense. And two, it shows when nostalgia doesn't hold up. Like, Carly and Freddie think it's hilarious, and she's like, this is actually kind of torturous. And it kind of reminds me of, like, when people bring back old tweets or, like, old videos that are offensive. Like, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting here, which obviously I could relate to very heavily. We see Lewbert for the first time in the courtroom with Spencer defending Carly. Already red flag alert. I don't know if this is gonna go well. And he seems like handsome, well put together, nothing like his older counterpart in the original series. So immediately, like, something's up. And you think it's gonna be like a big plot twist, but it's kind of anticlimactic. He just reveals that he's suing Carly because he lost his wart, and he used to be really handsome and now he's ugly, which that actually is a funny concept to think this guy believes that, like, his life is ruined now. There's kind of an annoying bit here where they keep referencing Austin Powers.
$1 million.
And I think that's weird that they keep, like, referencing things that actually exist in our culture, considering the original show was just, like, making up stuff, and this one, like, kind of dives into some real topics, which is pretty jarring most of the time.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
I love how Carly actually apologizes, it's earnest, and then she turns to the judge and is like, it's okay, we made up. And it's like, no, that's not how the real world works, especially our legal system. I don't think a public apology does anything anymore. Lewbert starts calling people to the stand one by one, starting with none other than Freddie, who was actually involved. I don't know why Freddie's not being sued, it's like just Carly. And he's able to actually, like, get these people to turn on Carly pretty quickly. And this is funny because obviously we expected Lewbert to be the guest star, but I didn't expect Guppy to be involved in this. They have a picture of Noah Monk, who played Gibby, which is kind of crazy that, like, they couldn't get him, especially the fact that since they had his image means he must have gotten paid somehow. So I guess he, like, was half in, half out. Guppy's funny because honestly, like, the excuse to say happy birthday is kind of perfect.
Happy birthday!
They call up Chuck, who is Spencer's enemy from the mysterious liquids in the first series.
Wait. Is this water?
You wish it was water?
And he looks really close to being the same. It's actually really funny. It feels like I'm rewatching the old series like 100%. If they ever had, like, a revival just for like a half hour and couldn't do the whole show, I feel like this would be the premise, like everybody kind of turning on Carly and friends because of the stuff they did when they were little. And you're telling me Miss Briggs couldn't have been a part of this? Like, how fun would that have been? Things take a wild turn when they bring Mrs. Benson to the stand, and her and Lewbert have insane chemistry. Like, what the heck is that all about? Oh, let's take a quick break to go to the B plot because we can't just ignore it. It's just Harper and Millicent basically wants to be Harper's best friend. So it's a bunch of scenes with her trying to connect with Harper. And it's kind of cute because it's very like Gen Z versus millennial. Like Harper thinking her life is ruined just because a kid wants to hang out with her. Like as if that's like a horrible, horrible thing. It's funny, and it's necessary because obviously the main cast is a little bit busy this time around. The twist is that Lewbert is actually trying to sue for ownership of iCarly, which definitely feels kind of far-fetched. I wish Neville was Neville.
I'm about to rid the internet of iCarly forever, and you're bumming my joy.
Neville would be great in this episode. I can't believe this isn't the one he came back in. All around, like, it's weird making Lewbert out to be the Neville-like antagonist. I can't imagine what Lewbert would do with iCarly. Lewbert, or I don't know, that'd be funny. The resolution isn't intellectual or, like, super well earned. It's just Carly saying, my life is actually so much better thanks to you, and Lewbert freaks out, therefore shutting out the case. It was a pretty quick resolve. They have a nice little resolve at the end where they're doing a cheers, but Carly owes Lewbert like $250,000, so it doesn't really end necessarily in a good way.
Yay. what a victory.
All around, kind of a disappointing episode, especially since I feel like the expectation is to have a lot of characters come back. This format is like perfect to have like anything to happen, and I feel like just bringing Chuck and Guppy back, they could have done better. Of course, Lewbert being the main attraction of this episode definitely made up for it for me. I feel like him and Miss Benson actually like being romantic in the courtroom is as funny as the episode gets, but for the most part I didn't find myself laughing too much. So yeah, iObject Lewbert, very interesting experience. I'm not sure if it gets points in the right direction or the wrong direction. Episode 3 is called I'm Wild and Crazy, and it's funny because it's definitely playing off the meme of the actress Miranda Cosgrove when she cursed and it went viral.
I actually do cuss a little.
Do you?
Also, yeah.
What's your favorite curse word?
Probably fuck.
Like everybody was like, oh my god, she's so not proper, and I don't know, that just like became a whole big thing for her, so of course they're gonna have to capitalize on that for this episode. Carly comes across as super like naive in this and innocent, which is kind of relevant to her original character. I feel like this is her at her best, especially since she's asking Harper to mentor her through like the crazy party life, and Harper like jumps up and is totally ready to help her through it, and she's just like in her pajamas. I don't know why, that's like very, very Carly for me.
Are those unicorn pajamas?
It makes me like her character a lot more. I feel like this episode already has some good positive points for me. The B-plot's actually kind of important here. Spencer wants to support Freddie and his whole like app development deal, and he's like a CEO, so like cool. He did the party in that first episode, and now he bought the groovy smoothie to use as Freddie's new place, which is kind of an awesome idea, like to use an old set and repurpose it for a new setting. Like it's definitely a good idea. It reminds me that we haven't seen the Skybucks store that was in the first season. Like remember when that was like a central location when Harper worked there, and now it's just like kind of thrown out the window. Honestly, that's an improvement for the better. More points for the show for that. This scene though definitely reminds me of Tebow. I wish Tebow was more involved in this.
You guys want some bagels?
No, thanks.
Buck a piece.
We don't want any bagels.
I sell you the whole stick. $5.
Bye.
But unfortunately, haven't seen him in a while. He would have been good in the iObject Lewbert episode. Oh, I feel like that's going to be a pattern from now on. Every time I see a new character, I'm going to be like, they could have been on that episode. We learned that Millicent can speak an entirely new language, which is kind of hilarious considering she's like smarter than everybody on the show. It kind of makes me sad because I remember when I first heard about the iCarly reboot, it was like more focused on Millicent versus Carly.
You haven't posted for a month. In internet years, that's a decade. It's okay, Curly. Go into the light.
And now that the show's like really unraveled, it doesn't seem to be like that at all. Millicent doesn't seem interested in starting her own podcast or influencer thing. That's definitely good. I just feel like it didn't match my expectations. Harper takes Carly out for a night on the town and they go to a bar. And this is probably one of the funniest scenes I've seen in this show so far. It's like Carly tries to do all these wacky things you're supposed to do when you go out, but she does it to this one person and then thanks him after every time she does it. Like, look at this. It's definitely worth it though. I feel like they're really good at tuning into Miranda's outside experience, which is nothing.
I'm gonna steal the bar garnish tray. You can keep the olives. Yuck.
Carly kicks it up a notch when she's like, I want to get a tattoo. And then suddenly Harper's the one that's not on board. I like this. I like it when characters take things too far. Carly jumps into the fountain, which Harper ends up following, and suddenly nobody's having a good time. The mall cop even arrests them and takes them to mall jail, which is definitely really funny. I think that's a funny bit.
Did you guys steal black lipstick to get back at your mom, too?
Especially since Carly still doesn't understand what's fully going on.
But if that doesn't work, I can do my Borat impression. Ooh, it's the best. My wife.
Then in the B-plot, Spencer and Freddie have a lot of tension between them because Spencer is not helping with the app at all. Freddie is pretty upset with him because he's not contributing. And Spencer just like wants to turn this place into a whole restaurant, which actually inspires him to do so, but we're not quite there yet. While they're in jail, Carly and Harper are pretty much reflecting on the whole evening, and Harper's like, oh, I could have been watching TV, which no, you couldn't have, Harper. You dressed up for tonight. You were excited about it. They both have like like this heart-to-heart, and Carly realizes that she's kind of just acting out of character, especially when she's like crocheting. That's inevitably what gets them out of mall jail because of this whole crocheting thing, and the cops like promise you'll never do it again, which definitely isn't how the law works, but we don't always have to go with that, okay? In the end, Freddie and Spencer make up by encouraging Spencer to just turn it into a restaurant anyway. And then there's this weird meta joke about how new things can't pander to the old fans, which is definitely, you know, referencing this show, which I do think that's funny. I like it when they can laugh at themselves like that. The episode started with them playing Never Have I Ever and Carly not having anything to say, and then it ends with them at the Groovy Smoothie also playing Never Have I Ever, but now she can tell people she jumped into a mall fountain. Okay. I think overall this episode accomplished what it needed to do. Definitely bleeds into the millennial lifestyle of being an adult and like what you feel pressured to do. I feel like these writers are definitely the perfect age for this because it seems like they're just writing about their experiences, which make it feel a lot more authentic. The episode ends with Spencer naming his restaurant Bar F, which looking at it across the room just says barf, which is definitely a funny comedy beat to end on. All around good episode. This one definitely is pushing it in the right direction. It didn't like force me to have expectations like iObject Lewbert, but we're going in the right way. Episode 4 is called iHire a New Assistant, and it's surprisingly really good. This could have been done years earlier, and I still wouldn't have noticed Sam wasn't there. That's how you know it was a really good episode. It starts with Carly taking care of her plants, and she's doing this new live stream where it's like the camera stays on the plants and it watches them grow over time, which that's such a rare niche thing. I don't know if Carly as an influencer is like getting the plant community super well.
Water? Less water? Sparkling water? Use your words!
Carly and Spencer are getting ready for their grandfather to come visit in a little bit. Turns out he's there right now, immediately. So he's coming in, and we haven't seen this guy since we saw him, you know, critique Spencer and want to bring Carly to Yakima. One of my favorite episodes early season 2, very classic iCarly. So having him back in this show is definitely giving good vibes. He doesn't even look that much older, but he does look a lot more eccentric. The entire episode revolves around his visit, and it's really fun to have this specific old character back. Like, it definitely brings up such weird storylines, especially since now Carly's an influencer and the internet has changed significantly since even he was in the original show. He is retired now, makes a lot of jokes about being old, and yeah, so we got a lot more generational jokes between Carly and the old people, Carly and the young people. I like it when it leans on that. That's when it feels like super real. Carly ends up hiring her grandfather to be her assistant because it's perfect, apparently. Yeah, nothing could go wrong, huh? So Carly's granddad gets a little in over his head and starts treating Carly like she's his assistant, and then he gives her ideas that don't seem relevant at all, like make a web show about coins because he has this big coin collection he's super proud of. And it's really funny how quickly everything turns on its head in that regard. The B plot is kind of funny. It's basically Harper realizes that Freddie's chart, his astrology chart, is so compatible with hers.
What, does it say I'm gonna die?
Worse! Your birth chart is a perfect match to my birth chart. We're soulmates.
So he's like going to her for like relationship advice at first, and then Harper's like, oh my god, no, we're the perfect match. And then they bring Freddie's girlfriend into it, and next thing you know, like they take it so seriously to the extreme. And since both girls are into astrology, he is just like kind of forced to go along with it, even though he knows he's not interested in Harper and Harper's not interested in him, which I do think is a funny recurring joke. Carly's granddad gets a phone call about the potted plants, and then he thinks it's about pot, which it's definitely worth the joke just for Carly making that whole plant thing.
Carly Shay's office. Pot guy? My granddaughter's not a druggie. The 60s are over. You lost.
Spencer's still in the midst of opening his restaurant, which makes him really nervous because his grandfather is visiting, so it's kind of a really convenient time for everybody. Soon enough, Carly's grandfather starts getting everybody around him to help him with his coin idea, which is ridiculous. Like, he's not a good assistant to Carly. Even Millicent starts taking 20s from him because every time she laughs at his jokes, he pays her, which I think is kind of crazy. There's a lot of funny jokes in this about old people texting, and I don't know why, I just think it's hilarious. Like, people start worrying if Carly is mad at them, but it's really just he's texting properly for her. Kind of crazy. So Carly realizes the only thing she could really do is fire him. This is where things take a crazy turn. Once she does so, she finds out that he actually stole all those coins from somebody else. So his whole coin idea, while good and actually gaining traction, which by the way is kind of funny, like the fact that he's actually blowing up through Carly's platform and creating his own is crazy for an old person, but very true to the times we're living in. Carly realizes that there's this guy and he sounds like a gangster and he's like, I'm going to kill you if you don't give me my coins. And it's like, oh my gosh. We take a pause from that to go back to the B plot where Harper and Freddie's new girlfriend Pearl are trying to figure out who is the perfect match, which Freddie still doesn't want to do. They decide that the only way to figure it out is salsa dancing. Very random. There's a little bit of a threesome joke that Freddie thinks is about to happen, and just realizing that it's not is probably my favorite part of the joke. And yeah, so they end up salsa dancing at Spencer's new restaurant. Okay, that was a really quick way to open a restaurant. Yeah, so then Carly's granddad decides to meet with the coin guy at this restaurant, and the two old people start fighting in front of everybody. Spencer comes through and saves the day when they find out that the coins are actually on one of the people's pants, and they just give the old man the pants and he's like, okay, cool, yeah, these are the coins. But really he just stole them to put on the wall of his restaurant, actually leading to their grandfather saying he's proud of them, and everything works out in the end. Oh wait, except for Freddie, Pearl, and Harper. They do a really quick dance sequence in which Freddie and Harper learn that they will not be together, which already we knew from the very beginning. I don't know why we're going into it that hard. Then him and Pearl remain together because of that whole dance thing. It's cool how everything culminates and resolves itself all within the restaurant by the end of the episode. Spencer gets what he wants, Carly gets out of the whole assistant situation, and it's just funny that gangster is brought into it. Like, I was not expecting that at all. Episode 5 is called iCupid, and this one's a really fun one. We actually have another guest star. Last time we had the grandpa. Now we have Rachel Bloom, which is a new character, but kind of relevant considering the girl Esther was in the first season and she knows Rachel Bloom from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend and is a common writer on this show, a very millennial style comedy writer, so it makes sense that they chose her for this. We start out with Happy Brother's Day, which is funny because obviously they don't have the mother and the father is away at sea, so we kind of focus on Carly and Spencer's bond throughout this episode. We learn that it's a little bit unhealthy and codependent, which I love it when shows like actually narrow in on psychological topics like this. It clearly shows they know what they're talking about. Pearl and Freddie are there as a couple. Freddie and Pearl are really annoying, like not a fun couple, and I don't even know how much they have in common. Millicent actually makes a comment about this, and it becomes very clear that the B plot is going to be about Freddie's relationship with Pearl and how a lot of people are kind of disapproving of it, which is interesting. We'll get into that in a second. Spencer has a whole speech about how his life has gone so far, and there's a lot of resentment saying that like, oh, you know, I just live to take care of Carly and raise Carly and thank God Carly's good, and you definitely notice these hints. They are not subtle. Carly and Harper see this disdain from Spencer and realize it's time to finally get him a girlfriend, which that's always how it is, guys. If somebody's miserable, get him a girlfriend or a boyfriend. It just seems like that's the sitcom answer to everything nowadays, isn't it? So they get this famous psychologist. I don't know if she's actually a psychologist. She's like an Instagram famous relationship expert, and she quote unquote knows exactly how to find the perfect man and what to look out for. So Carly and Harper hire her to help set up Spencer. Her name's McKenna. They do a lot of stereotypes. It feels like the live action version of a Cosmo magazine, the old Cosmopolitan. If you know what I'm talking about, you know.
One should just be tall. If you're under 5'9", don't waste my time, because that's a red flag, bitch.
Turns out all these red flags that this woman describes just happens to be Spencer. He literally comes out in a bonnet like a baby, which is so funny. Her and Spencer don't really get along super well, but let's put a pin in that because Freddie finally has to confront his mother and Millicent about the relationship. It is not cool. Freddie's mom does not care for Pearl either, and it becomes like a constant fight back and forth between between all three of them to see if Pearl is even worth it. Then we go back to Spencer, who Carly finds out just had a one-night stand with McKenna, which is crazy because she's talking about the perfect guy and she just goes around sleeping with everybody. That's a very interesting premise, that she doesn't respect men because she keeps going around and just looking at them as this object. I like that we actually touch on a subject like that because it totally is like how things look sometimes. It turns out this was only a one-night stand, and even though Spencer has feelings for her, she just kind of walks away from the situation, which is kind of funny because it's a plot that could never happen in the original iCarly episode, because you can't just have one-night stand episode. It doesn't work like that. But yeah, Spencer is heartbroken because he genuinely cared for her. Aww. Harper, determined, is going to help give Spencer a makeover to make McKenna regret this whole thing, maybe even win her over. Crazy, because it's one of those plots where it's like, oh, if you dress better, then maybe you'll attract somebody. They invite McKenna back over and give him a complete makeover.
Mr. Cool Guy.
I don't know how to describe what he looks like. He has frosted tips, he has a V-neck t-shirt and a tattoo that you can't really translate, which Harper says is what McKenna describes as the perfect man. So yeah, Spencer's dressed as the perfect man and he looks like a freak. Freddie tries to stand up against his mother because he's acting like a baby most of the time. Pearl actually acknowledges that he is a mama's boy. So true. So it's kind of weird. Freddie's world is like bouncing off a lot of realistic scenarios where sure, he might not be in a good relationship, but he's in a weird relationship with his parents and vice versa. So he's like, okay, I want to move out. I'm gonna take Millicent and not you, mother, because you don't approve of Pearl. McKenna kind of trashes Spencer and is like, hey, you know, why are you dressing like this? Are you and Carly even like a healthy relationship, or are you super codependent? And it juggles between being an episode about Carly and Spencer or just Spencer. Oh gosh, it's just weird. It doesn't really know what it wants to be. And then it becomes more about Spencer and Carly. But then Carly kind of has this whole realization that she always appreciated Spencer and that Spencer is never really resentful despite his speech earlier. And they kind of resolve it with McKenna not 100% being necessary for the rest of the episode. But then she has a whole mental breakdown about wanting to be with somebody, and yeah, the truth stings, guys. Rachel Bloom did a good job as a guest star in this episode, and it feels like the old iCarly in a really good way, where they brought something new to the table. So iCupid is definitely one for the books that I really appreciate. When it comes to Freddie and Millicent and Pearl agree to disagree, and they're not completely friends, but they don't disapprove of each other, which doesn't really feel like a resolution to me. But hey, I'm not gonna judge. The episode ends with McKenna trashing Carly on live TV.
Carly Shay, she is not well. Sincerely, get help, girl.
Which, does anybody have any more? Yeah, if I saw that on the cell phone, I think I would be just as effective. But you know, we're not gonna get nitpicky. Now, episode 6. Whew, guys, let me tell you, episode 6 really changed the iCarly revival game for me. They did something I never expected them to do on a reboot of a TV show. And you know what? We're gonna get into it in a minute, but if you guys have seen this season, you probably know what I'm talking about. This episode is called I Build a Team, and it's about Carly bringing together an old producer, Freddie, who helped her create the show, and a new producer, this guy that she met in Italy, who has his own management company now. And guess who the guest star is this time? Josh Peck. Yeah, we're getting Josh straight from Drake and Josh and putting him into the iCarly universe, making the show nostalgic in a completely different way than we could ever have anticipated. Carly's just struggling to keep up with the web series all on her own, so she needs extra help. So it's all about Freddie and this guy not getting along. Freddie is super jealous and he kind of trashes everything Josh Peck does. Oh, by the way, Josh Peck's name is Paul. I'm never going to be able to call him that because it's Josh Peck, obviously. So Carly's defending Paul, and it seems like it's about to be one of those episodes where Paul turns out to be a bad guy, but spoiler alert, that's not really the case. He's here to stay from here on out, adding this extra nostalgic element to iCarly. A really smart move on the writer's side of this all. It would have been even better if they brought Drake back later, but hey, we're not gonna get too stingy. The B plot is another Spencer opens a restaurant plot where he's gonna have a critic come in and pretty much review his restaurant. Harper is helping him out with this whole thing, and it looks like it's going to be a disaster.
Even I, whom is famously rude to waiters, cannot be rude when the food is this delectable. boom.
This is one of the most stereotypical sitcom tropes ever, so we're just gonna move on for now. So Paul's back in person, and him and Freddie are not getting along, especially when it's live and they're recording Carly meeting with a fortune teller.
Do you know how I die? No, don't tell me. No, do tell me. Is it poison? I hope it's poison.
Which feels like a really cool influencer thing. I feel like somebody would definitely do that on like TikTok, is like their reaction to this whole fortune telling thing. But yeah, Paul and Freddie are not getting along, which is so funny because they keep getting in fights, which I'm kind of not on Freddie's side about this. Paul is just trying to help. Guys, come on, give him a break. So Carly takes this to the next level, inviting them both to come to an escape room with her. Oh no. So the episode just ends up with them in an escape room and Freddie and Paul having to work together, with Carly becoming nervous about the enclosed spaces at first.
I always wanted to learn the flute. I just had to say that before I die, which is obviously happening.
A lie, and she was just doing it to get them to bond, but then she realizes that the escape room is so much longer than she anticipated, and she does end up freaking out. Like the I Space Out episode, which was so long ago, honestly, but it's cool that we're bringing back one of her fears.
Calm down, take a deep breath, all right?
I feel like I'm inside a walnut.
Yeah, Freddie and Paul really don't get along, but really it's Freddie not getting along with Paul. I feel like Paul's trying his best, but Freddie is just a hater. Maybe because it's like a Drake and Josh reference, but who knows. Back at the restaurant, things are not going super well until this critic actually starts to like most of the things going on, but he inevitably is like, you know what, this has not got the Spencer Shea touch, which I guess he knows him as an artist. Kind of crazy that that even comes in, until Spencer hits the table, it gets set on fire, and then he's like, this is a Spencer Shea experience, which it's like, oh, I forgot Spencer had the ability to just set anything on fire.
Oh, man, just bought this broom!
That is a really funny ongoing joke from the first season, but it's kind of annoying that like it didn't come up at all in the last like 5 episodes. I mean, you could argue there's no real reason for it to happen, but I don't know, Spencer would have always found a way, you know? In the end, Freddie and Paul learn to work together along with Carly, and yeah, we've got a new dynamic for the show, something that you can't undo. Like having Josh Peck be a main character is kind of wacky to me, but you know what? If it doesn't work out really well, sue me. So yeah, Spencer had his whole resolution, Freddie had his whole conflict. It was a good episode for the side characters, that's for sure. One of my favorite parts is the physical comedy where Josh has to lift up Freddie to solve the escape room puzzle. And I don't know, just having an escape room a part of it is so relevant, because I feel like, especially since COVID, like that was just like a normal outing thing to do, especially if you're a millennial or Gen Z. I feel like after college, a lot of my friends and I were like, oh, let's go do an escape room, like the same way you would go to the movies. So that was an interesting cultural moment for me to reflect on that. I don't know, I'm feeling old now.
Well, I thought we were done.
You're not done. You still have 4 more decades to escape from.
But yeah, for the most part, the charm of the original show has gone back, and I am like not even noticing it. And that is something I really like. I feel like from iObject Lewbert, I was noticing it too much, and then now it's just completely gone to the back of my head. So you guys were right. This show is definitely warming up to me. And yeah. Next, we got season 2, episode 7, I Dragged Him. And this is another Carly and Spencer episode, which they're doing a good job reminding us of what made the original show great, is like Spencer and Carly's bond. It's very sweet, and I feel like it takes us back to a time almost even before Sam and Freddie were involved. I mean, Freddie's good at complementing the series, but this is really the heart of it all. There's a bunch of plots going on in this episode. Like, for instance, Millicent is doing a UN conference with Freddie's help, and it's all about their competition. So a little bit more sibling work. Oh my god, siblings. I forgot Millicent was literally Freddie's daughter. I keep forgetting that, guys. I don't know why. I cannot get over the fact that Freddie has a daughter. I feel like it keeps coming up, but that's hard to put out of my head. I wish she was more active, or it wasn't about that at all. In this episode, Carly's going to compete for like an influencers type TV show, and Spencer revealed that he did a tape for Naked and Afraid, like an audition, and that never worked out. It's just so funny. Freddie brings it to Carly's attention that her and Spencer working together might not be the best idea, because in the past, though they've won a lot of things many times, Freddie realized that like Spencer is not super nice to Carly. iCarly, especially when they work as a team. This is like a whole sportsmanship argument. I feel like this is very rare, but it's funny that it comes up in an adult series. Carly starts reapproaching everything she thought she knew about her childhood and realizes that maybe Spencer wasn't the best partner. And she tries to keep it a secret and tries to play nice, but it becomes a lot harder the more obnoxious Spencer gets. He starts taking over and like being an obnoxious team captain, and she cannot shake that from her conscience, which is funny because obviously we all have that when we make a realization in our lives and then everything becomes apparent. You know, like you start seeing a flaw and it becomes more and more obvious to you. That's kind of how Carly's relationship is with Spencer in this episode, which is kind of fun because we don't see a lot of negative sides of Spencer, but I definitely see being competitive as a really fair one. In the B plot, this is kind of crazy. It feels like an excuse just to get drag queens on the show, but Harper is trying to make an impression for this whole fashion event by dressing a bunch of drag queens, and she has her own interpretation at first, learns that they all want to be Reese Witherspoon, all from different movies, and yeah, they couldn't let her know that beforehand. Okay, interesting.
Alexa, find us a better stylist.
So yeah, so Harper takes it upon herself to give everybody an assignment that is related to Reese Witherspoon, but then when they don't like it and don't like who she assigned which parts, then they take over once again. So it's just constantly them bashing Harper and Harper trying to turn things around, which kind of sucks because they're just taking advantage of Harper. On the way to the event, Spencer and Carly start arguing with the cab driver, which is kind of funny seeing them like actually disagree with each other, but like take it out on each other. It definitely feels like a Disney Channel games type setup because like they're wearing the bandanas and they're getting ready to go to this event, and they learn when they get there that they actually missed the audition, all because of Spencer. Oh my gosh. So Carly pretty much blows up at him and is like, because you're a bad sportsmanship and everything else, and yeah, she pretty much explodes. See kids, this is why we don't keep things to ourselves. Resentment builds and it goes everywhere. It's like puke, but you can't clean it up. So at the event, they give Carly special privilege, which she actually comments on. I think that's kind of funny. And it's acknowledged that she could still be a part of it even though she's an influencer, which to me is just a convenient way to get around writing this logically. Whatever, guys, I'm not gonna judge them. But yeah, so Spencer and Carly kind of have a heart-to-heart where she's honest with him, and in the end, they're trying to slingshot this cantaloupe, and she ends up hitting Spencer, which they end up actually making up, both of them taking accountability, and it's really sweet. Meanwhile, in the B plot, oh guys, I saw this episode 3 times and I'm still having trouble following it. Pretty sure that Millicent is against this guy, ends up going way too far in trying to beat him, but Freddie almost encourages it.
Dad.
Destroy Gavelmeyer.
Meanwhile, the drag queens come to Spencer's restaurant and actually make a huge deal out of their new outfits, making it a lot better. They reveal that apparently the fashion showcase was off this whole time and Harper's been making these dresses for nothing, which is really disrespectful. I would be so angry if I were Harper. But in the end, she wins because they get to flaunt around Spencer's restaurant and everybody gets to know who she is. Meanwhile, Millicent finally takes down her arch rival, which we never hear about before and we never hear about again. So that's all I could really tell you about this one. This episode was iDragged him. And it was definitely a little bit of a misstep on my end, but you know what? It's okay to have 1 or 2 of these every now and then. Let's see if the next episode kind of makes up for this. Episode 8 is called I'm a USA Bae, and USA Bae is a parody of the American Girl dolls, which is so funny because they're good at being meta at really random times, but then sometimes making references to real cultural events, and it's hard for me to follow. This episode's cool because Paul comes in pretty quickly, meaning that Josh Peck is a normal character in this. Unfortunately, he's not given a lot of really awesome jokes, so he feels a little bit misplaced. Although seeing him and Freddie act together is very surreal. I can't get over it, especially since they never were like actually in something together. So yeah, Paul announces right off the bat that he got Carly a deal to have a whole doll line named after her. Oh my god, that's cool. So the doll will look like her and girls could take it home and buy it and be inspired, and it's great. You know, Freddie and Paul seem to be getting along a lot more, and the conflict starts to be more about Carly and herself. They get the doll and it is very very inappropriate. I don't want to get into it, but you could pretty much guess from the imagery here that it's very physical when it comes out.
You're not that top heavy.
Yeah, so everybody kind of makes fun of it for a second, as they would do on a normal sitcom, and Josh is trying to pretend this isn't a horrible, horrible thing. But Carly is super offended by the fact that they looked at her and only see this, which is fair. I don't think you should ever put out something like this. Very good commentary on like how females are sexualized and like essentially like sold for money when it comes to products like this. And yeah, it's definitely a real life issue. The B plot for this is really funny. Freddie's insecure that his relationship with Pearl is kind of dwindling, which kind of makes sense because it's been nothing but hurdles since it started. And yeah, it's funny watching them have a plot together. I really like Spencer and Freddie. The fact that he's like so separate from the regular plot is very interesting because then it kind of gives it to Carly and Paul, which is nice to see Josh and Megan back at it again. So Spencer ends up getting a monkey and giving it to Freddie, saying that giving them a child is something that would keep their relationship together, which is kind of depressing when you think about it, considering Freddie has been through like 2 divorces at this point, and he got Millicent this way. That's kind of a disrespectful way to go about the situation. Spencer says he's used this monkey in the past to solve problems, which would have been the perfect time to mention Sacco. It bothers me that they never mention Sacco ever. It should be Spencer's old friend from the original series. He mentions Sacco all the time and it just never comes up again. Come on, guys.
Watched it over at my buddy Sacco's house.
You have a friend named Sacco?
Yeah, he's the one who sells me all the cool socks.
Maybe it's because it's a reference to feet and they knew they wanted to steer clear of all that, but still, like, they could have done better. So when Carly gets to this whole doll event, she admits to them that, hey, like, I'm not really happy with what you came up with, and they seem like really concerned and like, okay, yeah, we'll definitely fix it for you. Harper has a crush on the guy in charge of all this, so it's not helpful, Harper. She keeps hitting on him throughout this whole endeavor. Meanwhile, Carly is getting feedback from a bunch of little girls saying, like, would you actually buy this? And even Paul's niece comes in and gives it like some really good critique, and Carly's like, you know, whatever. So she is not getting the feedback she wants. She just really doesn't want to be on this doll. Paul is like running into a moral dilemma because he doesn't want to rock the boat, but he still wants to support Carly, even though not putting out this doll would make him not be able to afford a coffee table in his living room. I don't know why that's relevant, because it's clear they're trying to make this character likable and work for the long run, because obviously this is the perfect moment for his character to turn and actually like be against Carly, but it doesn't end up being about that. The solution in this episode kind of gets a little crazy. Carly and Harper end up taking all the dolls and making them look morbid. Yeah, they just pull out the hair, they like move all the aspects that made it what it was, and Carly's happy with that. You know what? It's better than just releasing something that's really trashy and makes her look bad. Even though this is kind of trashy, makes her look bad. Like, even the kids can't look at it at the end. But yeah, it's nice that Paul got to keep his charisma and Carly didn't end up releasing this doll. This company's never gonna work with Carly again. That's unfortunately how it's gonna go. But it's cute, the location that they're at this whole time. And Harper never ends up getting with that guy. Oh no. But Carly does get a moment where she gets to see a little girl like actually appreciate Carly and her doll for what it is, and that's a really nice moment. It's nice when the morals are followed through. It's just annoying because it's like saying that you may not win even if you do the morally right thing. Like, I don't know, that to me is kind of annoying. Pearl ends up confronting Freddie because she learns like, okay, this monkey is definitely an excuse, and Freddie's like, yeah, I just wanted to be closer. Spencer gets to hang out with the monkey and everybody's happy. The end. Yeah, I'm a USA Bae was definitely a fun episode. I feel like the concept of Carly getting a doll based off of her is perfect. Like, it's very close to what they would do in the original series, like I Promote Tech Feet, except this time it's actually just about Carly and what she's going through. With the addition of Paul and Freddie's side plot, it definitely makes a worthwhile episode. But all around, it's still like kind of hard to remember some of the things going on, like Harper's crush with that guy. It didn't really go anywhere, but hey, you know what? This is just a sitcom to have fun, so I'm gonna try to think lightly of it. The next episode is iHit Something, and this one is interesting because it takes things to a whole new level. We actually bring back an old 2000s trope, pranking. Yeah, they did a lot of pranking on old shows. like specifically iCarly even. Like, Spencer had a pranking addiction, which will come back up. In this episode, it starts out with Carly going with this guy to his prom, as if like it's this really nice gesture for this kid who's gonna die, but it turns out he is a prankster and not really gonna die. He was just pranking him, and it was all for this YouTube video, which definitely would happen nowadays. He's the prank prince, and that's what he's known for. Definitely getting into the world of influencing the exact way I would expect iCarly to get into.
Hilarious. Yay.
It's crazy because, of course, we're on episode 9, which means there's only this and one more. Like, how quickly is this series going by for me? Carly's character takes a really interesting approach to the problem in this episode. So Carly hires a online influencer who is a joyologist. A made-up thing that like shows that she's certified in bringing joy. I don't know. And yeah, she's like telling Carly like, you just need to hit something, like get your anger out. Next thing you know, she takes Carly to this whole like boxing rink, and we learn that she is trying to get Carly to be a part of a fight club. Okay, so you think it's about to be a normal episode until these girls meet a bunch of other girls that want to fight her.
Is this a Squid Game?
And this new influencer is like, yep, you just gotta fight people sometimes. We don't talk about Fight Club.
Let me guess. The first rule about Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
No. That's just an incredibly obvious given.
Meanwhile, in the B plot, Millicent has her first boy crush, and this is more like Freddie being a hovering dad with the help of Spencer. He's actually encouraging the two to get together. He's like, oh, they look so romantic together. Like, he cares about his daughter getting in a relationship, which is kind of crazy. He ends up hearing this kid talk on the phone with his mom. Sounds like he's only using Millicent for trying to get this project done, which is such a overused trope. Like, overhearing somebody on the phone. Clearly, if it was that important, I don't think he would have spoken that loud outside. Like, even these characters have seen TV. There's no way you can convince me that they're this stupid. So the tables get turned, and Freddie and Spencer try to convince Millicent that this is not the right guy to be with and to fall out of love with him, eventually telling her that, hey, we heard him talking on the phone, and I don't think he's actually with you for the right reasons, which is a really sweet father-daughter type episode. It just bothers me how lazy this concept could kind of be. I wish they made it more realistic. Something that kind of bothers me about the episode, though, is Harper being completely against this idea of getting physical and violent, and then they get to the place, and once she sees that it is physical and violent, she's like, let's just stay. And it's like, I believe that Harper at least thinks there's another way to go about this, and her character just kind of gave up on helping Carly, which puts her a little bit negative in my eyes. I wish I could unsee that, but I really couldn't. Carly ends up actually getting fully into this, and it doesn't become like an throughout over time thing where she keeps going back. It more so stays in the time period. She ends up fighting the influencer and punching her in the face. Oh my gosh. They try to justify it by having Carly use all the anger she felt toward the prank prince and using it on her. And then things get really twisted when this whole boxing ring thing is stopped by the prank prince, saying that this entire thing was invented by him. Oh my gosh, what? So this is such a convoluted ending that I did not see coming. I definitely kind of think it's funny, so I'm gonna have to give them a pass on this one. Good job, guys. But it feels like a Neville type plot, like not just like a one guest star and their revenge plot. I feel like they bring new people in and out to kind of go against Carly, but none of them stick, so it doesn't feel super consistent, especially considering the original show did have like consistent players. Here, they're not really working with that. I do like how Carly is like pushed to her limit in this episode and willing to actually hit somebody. Of course, that goes so haywire. I thought it would just like blow up on the internet and something would happen from the aftermath of that. It doesn't really go into anything further than that. They just end up turning the prank back on the prank prince. So Carly and Harper end up getting all the girls from the fight club to turn on the prank prince. And I really do like the prank prince. I think it's like a good idea to have a villain that is more like that. It just bothers me he's only in this episode. They turn their revenge on him, and it feels a lot like the Shelby Marks episode in the sense that like that's how they turned on Neville in the end. They ended up like inviting him to the ring and then all turned on him. That's exactly what happens with this guy. So yeah, kind of a weird throwback episode in a way that didn't want to be a throwback, but hey, it's still a good one all around. Oh, in terms of Millicent, she ends up confronting this kid, but it turns out he was just talking to his mom about somebody else. I honestly don't believe that. I don't know why. There's something about it that does not feel realistic to me. but it's kind of sweet. It ends up being like they become boyfriend and girlfriend, and Freddie gets nervous, and that's kind of how the episode ends, leading us to our season finale. The final episode is I throw a flawless murder mystery party. Immediately, I'm not super excited about it because this is kind of what they did in the first season where they had Carly's boyfriend's grandmother at dinner and it had to be the perfect dinner. This one is another lead up to an event that feels high stakes in nature but doesn't necessarily get that intense. This one is circled around Freddie's birthday, which is kind of exciting. I feel like we never really had an episode about that ever in the past. And his relationship with Pearl is on thin ice, as it's been throughout the season. It's so weird seeing him try to maintain a relationship, literally going from like a monkey to lies to versing his mother and daughter. Like, it's just, there's so much going on in Freddie's life. It's hard to take it lightly because it's such an intense thing. But hey, this episode is all about Carly trying to help Pearl impress Freddie by throwing the perfect party. And at first she has this idea about like crows, which really shows how weird she is. Like, they met on some weird circumstances to begin with, like the fact that she was like more working for his app and she was like an animal expert, and suddenly now she's realizing she doesn't know that much about him and she's trying to find her own party for him to be impressed by. But Carly is very carefully trying to dance around the subject and help her create the best party. He really likes murder mystery parties, and it was very obvious that that's what he intended on wanting. Then we get to the same conversation of like, of course, millennials just love to get around the table, eat, and have a party. It kind of is akin to the escape room episode. Like, that's one of the things you would find commonly going on in 20-year-olds' lives. This is another thing. I feel like we had like themed dinners and like we would do all this stuff even today. So iCarly is more relevant than ever. So it ends up being this like 80s style murder mystery, and everybody dresses like somebody different, with Pearl dressing like Richard Nixon of all people. What? And apparently Freddie has a phobia against Richard Nixon. They try to justify it by saying it's like Cynthia Nixon's father. And it's like, I don't know if that's like a fair defense. Of course, she manages to dress up in the thing that Freddie would be the most scared of. Kind of ridiculous. Carly ends up helping cover this by switching outfits with her to make up for it. Oh, Spencer comes dressed as David Bowie, which is definitely kind of perfect for him. I feel like this has just become a cosplay type episode. We like seeing characters in different things. It's like, no, I just want to see the core cast going through plots. Like, we don't have to just make them up all the time. But hey, that's what you do in this world. I feel like the writers must have like had a tendency to watch Housewives. That's like a really good show that I like. Beverly Hills Housewives, the Housewives of Potomac. It's just, their whole plots are a bunch of drama going on leading to a party where everything goes haywire. That's where I feel like a lot of this stuff is coming from. They end up finally getting this party started and everybody's having a good time except for Spencer and Harper, who both want to go on a date they set up from a dating app. It turns out to be the same person. Each other. Yeah, didn't see that coming, did ya? They start spending the rest of the night kind of being rude to each other and being like, you said this on your dating profile. And it's just like them turning against each other. The whole point is it's a faceless dating app, which kind of reminds me of Bumble, which is like a friendship dating app. Very weird how they're trying to get people together in this day and age. But yeah, Harper and Spencer are at each other's throats and do not want to be here at Freddie's birthday, which is kind of sad. Freddie ends up having like a great time, but not because of anything Pearl does. She keeps trying to fix it, but also giving up, and Carly is the one who keeps picking up the pieces. I kind of feel bad for both of them because Carly does not need to insert herself this much. Like, she just needs to let it go because this just spirals and spirals to eventually Carly, Freddie, and Pearl turning against each other. Oh my gosh, and Pearl ends up walking out. This is crazy. It's essentially a breakup, and Carly has to cover for it. This is kind of where it takes a dark turn. I feel like it's definitely a sad plot to see Freddie knowing that his girlfriend just walked out on his birthday and everybody trying to cover it up. But then she ends up coming back, which I don't think is very cool. I feel like you're gonna walk out, walk out. But yeah, she does come back and they end up breaking up. Aww. She says basically, you and Carly might as well be together because it seems like you're in love. And Carly's dressed like a guy at this point, which is so funny because her and Freddie kind of look alike. So thinking them as a couple, out of all moments in this entire thing, this is is the perfect time for it. So yeah, iThrow, a flawless dinner party, took a turn in a way I didn't expect. I didn't expect it to become all about Freddie and Carly dating, but I'm not surprised it had, because I think I remember promos for this coming up way before. But it's definitely a great way to end it with like a little bit of a cliffhanger. We still had Paul involved. We didn't really get a lot of resolution to him. He just got 2 episodes and moved on. But hey, they're building on nostalgia that I did not see in the first season, and it's become its own thing really quickly. So everybody online was right. This season is definitely an upgrade from season 1. I've had a great time watching it over and over again. I feel like they're getting really good at knowing who these characters are outside of the dynamic. I wish we could bring back Gibby, Sam, but hey, that's never gonna happen. And when we take that into account, it's pretty good. Honestly, the whole 10 episode thing really bothers me. I'm not gonna forgive it, because I thought this would be 13 episodes, but it was only the first season. Okay. But yeah, hey, that means it'll be easier for me to get this final season next. But what did you guys think of the new second season of iCarly? Do you feel like it really got you to dodge your expectations and enjoy it? Or did it still feel like a rehash like the first season did? Thank you guys so much for watching another Johnny 2000s video. Please leave your comments below. I'd love to hear your opinion on how this whole thing worked out. And yeah, have a great day.